We're in the RwandAir offices at Kigali for yet another exciting episode of Captains of Industry. And we'll be talking to a captain, literally, or she's working towards that. I'm talking about Rwanda's first female pilot, Esther Mbabazi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is obviously a question you get a lot of times, but how does it feel to be Rwanda's first female pilot?
I usually answer the same question with how does it feel to be a pilot, period. Because Rwanda's first female pilot, that's just something that happened, but my plan and my dream initially was to be a pilot. So how does it feel to be a pilot? I love it. Every single day of my life is like a dream come true. And first female pilot just happened to, just because I happened to be the first one, could have been anybody else.
I know you're catching a flight in just about an hour. Give us a sense of what is a typical day for you.
A typical day for me, it could start in the morning or in the evening. Depends, today's evening. So basically I get picked from home, go through security, check myself in, and then after that we would go to dispatch depending on the day, and then they'll tell us what we're going to do. This is what the weather looks like. This is what your plan, your planned trip, your planned route, how much fuel you'll need, should you need any changes and stuff, the minimum fuel, and then you can add depending on the weather and all. So you do that in the dispatch, which is in the flight operations office, and then from there you go to the plane and do the preparations, and then you board, and then you go.
It seems like a lot of safety checks and
it is.
A lot of responsibility on your part.
Yes. It's a very safe industry. In my opinion, it's the safest industry among all the other industries. So we really take security and safety really importantly. Also, because anything that can happen, there's a lot of press. The machine that that you're flying is millions of dollars. So that's a lot of, you have to do a lot to make sure that nothing happened to the machine itself and also to the people that you're carrying, because you're carrying a lot of people.
Right. You obviously love planes, I can tell from conversations with you.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask where this passion came from. So I'd like you to take us back when you're 8 years old and that tragic accident and how that shaped all this.
I always actually wanted to be a pilot since I was about 4.
I don't know what I wanted to do when I was 4.
Yeah, I did. I would see a plane flying across from my house into, Bujumbura, because that's where we lived. And, I wondered, that thing must be flown by someone. I'd never met like a pilot in person, but, I imagined there must be someone, driving that machine in the sky. So one time I told my dad, you know what, I want to fly a plane. I was like, oh yeah, you can do it. That's what all parents tell their kids. So I don't think they thought that would go on and on and on for years. And then 97, my dad died in a plane crash. So of course everyone assumed that, that's gone out of the window. But later, after high school, I decided, you know what, this is still what I want to do. This is what, because also I calculated my strength, what I want to do, what I love to do. It wasn't sitting behind a desk. I just wanted to be out there, So, everything was pointing back to the flight deck, so.
Right. What are the reactions of your siblings and your mom, probably, at the announcement that you still wanted to fly?
My mom, well, initially, she always wanted a doctor, because that's just what she wanted. But when I announced to her much later that I wanted to be a pilot, she's always just happy that, you're going forward with school and you want to be successful at something. So for her, she's always happy. We haven't been raised to fear anything. So she's raised us to be courageous, because even herself, she's courageous. So she didn't really come in the way for me and my siblings. Most negativity would mostly come from people outside that would say, oh, why would you want to do this and stuff like that. So, but from my family, it was all support. I must say, yeah.
Then your family moved from Burundi to the DRC.
No, to Rwanda.
To Rwanda.
It was just that it crashed in the DRC because he was in DRC on a mission. Yeah, but he was a passenger. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to Rwanda. And now your quest to actually learning how to fly, and what was that like? What are the difficulties? Because pilot school has been associated with you know, fees that are too high for a lot of people to afford. Give us your journey in starting to fly.
Yeah, that's true. It's really expensive. So initially, I started with what I could. There's a school in Uganda, and it's really close. I don't have to go so far out. And the fees for an East African, they're not crazy. So went to Sorority Flying School, and I did my private pilot's license there. And I didn't have to, well, in my opinion, I didn't have to pay as much as I would have had I gone to the US, for example.
Were there more young women with you in that class?
Yes, there was other women, Ugandan women while I was training there, so yeah.
Does it disturb you that it's 2016 and we're still celebrating the first woman pilot? We had the first female pilot in Kenya flying the Boeing, and we made a spectacle of it. How does it make you feel when people are still celebrating this? I know it's no mean feat, but obviously at times you get disturbed, like they didn't expect you to do that?
No, actually, I understand why we would do that. Like in this industry, we don't even make 1%. You know, in the US, maybe if I'm even close to the truth, they don't even make 5% women. I was in a conference in the US, and it's women in aviation. So it's still a big thing worldwide in advanced countries like the US. So for me, I feel like it's just because the more they keep, you know, celebrating, young kids actually want to do this because they think, oh, this is so amazing, I have to do this, you understand? But if it was shunned and put in a box, because a lot of people culturally, they would think, oh, it's a man's job, so you should just... So I think, you know, it's good to celebrate because it just makes people come to me, ask me, oh, what did you do? We want to join aviation. Then they start to see it as a good thing rather than a woman trying to be a man. So that's just, I think it's a good thing, yeah.
Let's talk about this 1% female flyers. What is this? Because I'm assuming there's a higher number that you joined the first day of class with, and some fall by the way, some divert and take other different interests. To your mind, what stops them from just sticking through?
It doesn't really stick out for the women, because if you're a woman and you go into aviation, you can be sure that you have to make it, you know, because already just going there, you have to want this. Now, for my other colleagues, for example, that probably didn't make it, or, you know, over time, it's a lot of things. I must add, it can't be just one reason, but a lot of times I've been told, and I have seen that, you know, aviation is not a industry where you go because you're very smart or because it's an industry driven by passion. You have to be passionate. Yeah. So,
but you have to know a bit of math and physics.
A little bit, just a little bit. But you know, once you're driven by passion, any obstacle you can overcome. You can, you know, you can go today, fail a class, but you still do it again because of that passion. But if you lack the passion, however smart you are, you'll get bored, you'll give up, you know. So I think it's the key factor in aviation is passion for males or females. Yeah, yeah.
Let's talk about, you've mentioned passion, but you already flying. What keeps you doing it now? Because you've really already achieved it. You've, you know, flying commercial, you're the first female out of Rwanda. You have all these bright feathers on your hat. What then keeps you doing it now that you've gotten there?
I started out seeking the adventure, and I still have the adventure. I still find new things. It's the same thing. Sometimes you do the same route, but the same route might mean different weather. You know, today it's, you know, the sky is clear. Tomorrow there's really bad weather. And then, you know, everyone's different. The passengers are different. The people that you're working with are different. You deal with different cultures. You know, today you can have breakfast in Nairobi, lunch in Kigali, and So I mean, for me, it's exciting. The excitement doesn't go away. So.
Have you had an experience that almost made you change your mind and just want to pack your bags and go back to whatever else it is that you can do in Rwanda?
Not really in the plane, but sometimes you go to train and the training goes on for long and you're away from home and there's a lot of guys, and yeah, you can have some time to chat with the guys, but sometimes when you step back, there's so many things that you have to eliminate from your own from conversation. So you depend on calling your friends and chatting with your friends. So a lot of times it really got lonely.
Right. Because this is not a job that you keep your friends.
Yeah.
You can't say we'll meet at 5 for coffee or drinks.
So every time people are off work, on weekends you're working, and you're off on Monday during work hours and everyone's working. So I think that would have been my challenge, But, again, I meet...
So then how do you keep friends? Do you have friends that
I make
with?
an effort.
Right.
I really try to make an effort to keep my friends. So I guess, I mean, if people are worth keeping, you'll keep them. Yeah.
Esther, we need to take a quick break, but we've been speaking to Esther Mbabazi, the first female pilot out of Rwanda. We'll take a quick break, but after the break, she'll tell us the place of mentorship in this journey and what it is that she's flying for. Welcome back. You're still watching Captains of Industry, and today we are talking to the first female pilot out of Rwanda. I'm talking about, I don't know if to call her pilot, but first officer, Esther Mbabazi out of RwandAir. Thank you for making time again to speak to us. Let's just pick that conversation from the point of your story is obviously inspirational to a lot of people. And there are lots of young girls growing up in Africa who would want to achieve what you have. How do you encourage such to take up the path that you did?
One, anyone who tries to contact me, I do my very best to try and, tell them what they need to do to place themselves in a position. And then two, we started a Facebook page and, social media, tried to get a lot of women in aviation to join the group. And so people,
So these are Women in
here.
Aviation Forum.
Yeah,
right.
It's like a forum, yeah. So there is an International Women in Aviation, and so we're trying to replay it here, extend it here, open, a Rwandan chapter, so that we could, inspire people to join aviation. People can have like a place where like a forum where they can come and ask questions, where they can, figure out, because everyone just thinks piloting is all about, aviation is all about piloting, right. But it's not. Aviation is so wide, so you might not want to be a pilot,
just
or you might not
is
feel,
a fun bit.
yeah. But there's aeronautical engineers, avionics people, dispatchers, load controllers. There's a lot of science-related courses that are in aviation, so we need to shine a light on that, not just the pilot factor. You understand? So to get more women, because we still have women not expanding into mechanical engineering or aeronautical or airframe, like all these things they're not aware of this. So that's the whole point of forming this group, so that people, air traffic controllers, like a lot more people in aviation can see different careers you can take, but within aviation, yeah.
Right. Do you have individuals reaching out to you?
Yes.
Right. How is that?
It's good, because it just makes me happy that people already have people they can ask. So I mean, for young girls, and not just young girls, even young boys, or even older people. Like I meet older people who tell me, oh yeah, I'm 30, I wanted to be a pilot so bad. Is it too late for me? And I tell them, no, it's not too late.
Is it too late incidentally?
No, it
Because I'm
30. No, you see, no.
Right.
I've trained with people who are 30, I've trained with people who are 40. I don't think there is any, such a late time for you to join. Now, of course, some airlines, some people hire people, within an age frame because of training purposes and stuff. But, if you want to go forward and do the training yourself, I can be sure if you have the passion, you'll make it. Yeah.
Esther, are there challenges in the whole aviation space that are unique to women, that you say these are some of the special needs or challenges that women face?
I wouldn't say they're, unique to aviation. Women have challenges, as it is, in every science-related field, because everyone, people tend to think that they are not strong enough or they cannot take as much. So I wouldn't say it's just specific to aviation. It's just people's perspective. Now, I've flown with people who are very forward and, really do understand that women and men think the same. There's no, one person who is more, intelligent than the other. But then there's people who still, think that, who are still, I would call them backward, sorry. So I think that's really my challenge. The few people that, still see it as something that's really different, something that's wrong, something, that's, that you're in a male field. I get people, who would, say I am a wannabe man. It's in a Rwandan perspective, but, I can't translate it, directly. But so it's a general thing. It's not just aviation. It's just women everywhere. So if I think it will fade out over time, but we still have a war. Right. We still have a journey to come to a point where, a boy child and a girl child, are raised in such a way that they have the same opportunities, and they are told that, they can do, anything they want to be, and they can be equally as good as the other, as the other gender, yeah.
Right. As the whole aviation space has a lot to do with leadership, especially piloting, because first you're leading a group of passengers and you're leading your crew, and there's a whole lot of leadership that goes into it because of the responsibility that you obviously have. What is your leadership style?
I would say I would be laissez-faire. That's my kind of leadership. Right. When you need to step forward and get things done, you would do that, but I'd like to give people the opportunity to...
So you're not pedantic, you're not pushing people around?
No, I expect people to know what they're supposed to do up until, I have to, get things done. But I try to... It's really hard, when things have to be done a certain way, but you also have to trust that the other person... it comes down to trusting that the other person has the same intellect, that has the same, responsibility to do something that they need to do, or that, they have to do. So.
Right. Are there opportunities that you've really had to step out and give leadership, and in the process probably stepped on a lot of people's toes?
I don't know. That has to be other people saying that. I can't say, oh, this is what I did in my leadership position, or this is what I did. But, I try to do what I can, and everyone else's opinion is their opinion, right. If something is wrong, then I expect the other person to be strong enough to step forward and tell me. But to this day, I haven't personally had complaints.
What is the flow of ideas as far as leadership is concerned? Because in Africa right now, there's an older generation of pilots who are being replaced by people like yourselves taking up the stage. Is there a system that yourselves are able to learn and pick up from where they left?
Aviation just keeps improving over time. So you come from a time where crew resource management, which is basically dealing with other people, should it be in the cockpit or in the flight deck or in the cabin, where people have to work with each other and learn to respect each other and be able to get inputs from the other person rather than, you know, telling everyone what to do. You have to trust the other person's training. So a lot of trainings and things have been put in place to be able to create a better environment for not just, you know, young pilots, but everyone, even the older pilots that are leaving, to kind of understand that, you know, everyone has, I mean, it's a team. Everyone has something they bring, you know, to the team, you know, however small it is, but they do bring something. So I feel like, yeah, aviation is evolving, and every time they evolve, they put, you know, in place a lot of trainings, you know, to be, and these are actually, they have been made into a requirement. So, I mean, things have changed, you know, if you are, you know, a pilot 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and now it's very different.
It's a lot different.
Yeah.
Still on that, and things changing, you obviously cannot ignore what is happening around you, and you are flying the Rwanda national carrier. A lot of the national carriers have been having quite some difficulty as far as their financials are concerned. They are in deep losses. We've seen some being bought out. Nigeria doesn't have a national carrier. Kenya Airways is having a lot of challenges and whatnot. How do you as pilots relate to these sort of challenges that are obviously affecting your industry?
I fly the national carrier, so I see things in such a perspective. Like, a government that's serious needs to understand that having an airline is not necessarily just an airline, like a profit-making, you know, entity. You have to understand that investing in an airline is like investing on the roads. Now, you will not get any returns from building a road except from other industries. So that's the same with, you know, aviation or an airline, for example. So if you have an airline that's working, then that just means it's a healthy country. You know, the economy is boosting, tourism, all these things are happening. So it's just a lot of countries, I would say, that they don't understand or see having an airline in such a context. And so if an airline collapses, they don't get, you know, the governments don't just jump in and, you know, because a lot of, for example, you know, years ago we had no airline, but now, you know, RwandAir is flying everywhere and everyone knows about Rwanda. It's kind of like a flag that's, you know, that it's kind of like a road that goes all the way to other countries and further, you know, not just, you know, a road that goes to Uganda, but, you know, like a road that goes to Lusaka, for example, directly into Rwanda. So I think they have to understand it in such a way, you know, not just profit making. So if, you know, there's something that's going wrong.
It's more than just the bottom line.
Yeah.
Right. If there was one thing that you could change about how national carriers are run across Africa, what would this be?
I think a lot of the Pan-African spirit is missing, you know. Everyone is trying to, you know, work on their own, but I do understand we're all struggling. But, you know, I'd feel like a lot more of the Pan-African movement. Of course, I'm a Pan-Africanist,
right.
But yeah, like a lot of these values of the Pan-African spirit, you know, and the trade between them has to, you know, has to grow, has to improve, or has to be introduced for that matter. Yeah, that's personally what I would expect, because then you'd see them improve. You'd see them, if one's having issues here, there would be, you know, exchange in personnel. They, you know, a lot. I think they would be able to be in a position to help each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Esther, you know what just strikes me is that you have this busy life and dealing with important things of Pan-Africanism, but when do you get time to just let your hair down and say, hey, how do you relax?
I like to just go away, you know.
You should still be flying.
As a passenger.
Right.
So that's my way of you know, because, you know, should I stay here, I still have responsibilities at home. Luckily, you know, I'm still single, but, you know, I'm not trying to say that I'm searching.
Not on national TV.
Not on national TV.
Right.
But I must say, you know, usually I go away.
Right.
It just gives me a time to relax, and to see other places, to see other cultures, to see other communities, and to see how other people think, and see how can this change my life? How many of these things can I learn? So it's just a time that you're taking without feeling that you're actually learning. That's just how I don't usually get away here, but I would still get away. But out of my home context, I would probably go, up country. I would do that.
But there's obviously room for play.
Yeah.
Okay. Finally, how hard are you working to make to captain?
I am working very hard.
Right.
At the end of the day, I must add, some things come to you. You don't, go to them. Now, you work towards them, and you hope that they're also working towards you or walking towards you. Because, there's people who have been lucky enough to make captain in their 20s, in their 30s. Some people go as far as their 50s, or they just miss the whole command, slot in their lives. So, I'm working towards that, and I'm just hoping that, it's also coming to me. So with given time and hard work, I'll be there. Maybe next time we meet.
Right.
Yeah.
It should be flying to you, not just walking.
Yes, it should be flying to me, and I'll be flying to it.
Right.
So, I have a few hours to go, and so that will be, in a couple of years, or 2 years, or 1 year, who knows. I just don't want to give it a time, because I don't want it to stress me. I just want to enjoy every day towards that. Yeah.
And wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you for making time to speak to us. You have to catch your flight, but many thanks for making time. We've been speaking to Esther Mbabazi, First Officer Esther Mbabazi Amase, flying with the RwandAir, the first female pilot out of Rwanda. This has been Captains of Industry.